episode 19.
Yeah.
We're growing up. We're a teenager.
Yeah.
We think we know everything.
Haters beware. No.
Haters gonna hate. Wow. Taylor Swift is in my psyche. Get out of there, Taylor.
Who?
Taylor Swift.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so here we are for episode 19. We decided to get out of the house. It's just a really peaceful, beautiful space. Tons of flowers and beautiful landscaping and
seriously beautiful.
Yeah, bees everywhere and birds, and there's a little church cat named Gus roaming around. But
in fact, you know what we could do is we can put a link to this place. It's on the National Historical Registry.
Mm-hmm.
We can put a link in the podcast on YouTube and in Spotify where you can come out and look at it. It's beautiful. It's teeming with life.
Yeah, so how about, Dad, where are you at? How about you just start us off? Where do you feel like you're at in your spirit right now and in your body?
In my body, I'm in Nepal. No.
What?
This is going somewhere, but we're not sure where.
If you're still tuning in, 5 minutes in,
yes.
we appreciate you. And if you actually make it the whole episode, it's a miracle.
And since most of you don't, everybody's listening an average of 12.7 seconds. I challenge you to up it a little bit. No.
The algorithms.
Lori and I we have some friends that live about an hour away, and they invited us over to their house really for, I guess, lunch, but it ended up being a sleepover. And it was I just needed to get away from the exposure of many voices and people. I have a real high people threshold. I love people. I love the interaction. It takes a long time for me to get peopled out. But somehow I got there, and I just needed a break. And so we went over there and stayed. And you know, as a person of faith, you don't really want to admit sometimes that you get in these spaces of emotional need.
Why not? Why not? As a person of faith, like, why isn't that something?
Well,
that.
Yeah, and I'll get there. But I just felt sadness. I have some friends that are going through some relational issues, and they can't seem to get on the same page with it. More than one set of friends, but it's like, you know, we should be mature enough and close enough and have enough trust to deal with our issues. And what I'm learning about all of this is it's as much about me as it is about the other person. When we get frustrated or we have bias about somebody else, what I'm learning is stop looking at them and take a look at you. Take a look at yourself, because all the learning, you know, I can be mad at you for whatever reason, or frustrated or whatever, but I'm not responsible for you. I'm responsible for me. And when I say I'm mad at you, the first place I need to start is what's going on in me. Like, you said something, and I would say, well, you made me mad. Not really. You said something, and then I decided to get mad.
Oh, what are you trying to tell me, Dad? Why are you mad at me?
I'm not, but I'm just saying. So I got sad about these interactions with my friends, and then another friend came along and said, "What are you responsible for?" And I should know this, and I do on some level. But what are you concerned about? Quit worrying about them getting along or not getting along, and be concerned with your attitude about all of that. Because sometimes I just want to do scorched earth policy and go, why can't you guys get your shiza together? Or why are, like in our family, why are we fighting? And getting more comfortable in those emotional places where how I feel. I can thank Ellie for that. Is I kept saying, well, I feel this way, using it as a description of my thoughts. And she goes, yeah, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about how do you feel in your body, or how do you feel physically, and how is that tied to your emotions? And so,
How has that helped you though, like for you and being able, like, do you feel like since we had that session with Ellie that you've been more aware of what's happening in your body?
more aware. I think we keep coming back to these fundamentals in life. Is you cannot grow if you don't have awareness that you need to, or you won't. I'll say that. I think we're growing all the time. It's like the last episode. We're serving something, someone, something, whatever. So for me, all of that awareness has been important. So being aware that I felt sad, and it made me feel physically tired and mentally not exhausted, but fatigued.
Do you feel like you were letting yourself just be in that sadness
I'm starting to learn that is,
versus like pushing it away?
yeah. So in my prayer life too, it's like, okay, instead of going, hey, God, everything's great, yeehaw, and having this mentality that God doesn't want me to be honest, which is a weird thing in your meditation and stuff, is getting honest and going, I'm pissed off, I'm angry, or I'm frustrated, or I'm sad, or I'm confused. Just getting honest with myself too about how I feel, and then working through that through therapy, through spiritual direction, to meditation, through prayer,
Yeah.
through mental disciplines, whatever.
Yeah. Well, even the fact that the other day, Sundays a lot of our day is we're at
Busy.
church early.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on, and there was the first Sunday I think since I've been here, literally so I've been here for over a year, that you were like, I just need to be alone and be home. And I thought that was really courageous on your part, because you don't ask that a lot. Like, I think your people threshold is even more than mine. And you can just go, almost like an Energizer bunny, But one thing I've noticed is, like, in this space where you've been more contemplative and like having your solitude, like you've been making your prayer beads and stuff. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I'll talk about
Prayer
that,
notes.
because I wonder if there's like an interesting correlation, like between sitting there working with your hands.
Yeah.
Tying,
it's therapeutic.
Yeah, tying knots that are repetitive and learning how to tie these knots. So I don't know, I'm curious, like, do you feel like that was intentional, or was it just natural for you to start doing that?
Well, yeah, I don't know really, but I was aware that I was doing that, and so I tried to tie these Carmelite prayer knots, and the only way you can do that is either become a monk or a nun, so you've got lots of time to make lots of mistakes, because I mean, look at those are spaced perfectly.
Yeah.
But anyway,
You made these.
yeah,
For me, and you actually made these, but these you made, I don't know, I've had these
a
for
long time.
over a year now.
Probably, maybe more than that, because
a
anyway. So we're
few
getting off
years.
on this, but those beads are, and it's not just Christianity or Judaism that has them. A lot of religions have touchstones, or things that help you keep cadence and help you keep focused. The Desert Fathers and Mothers in the 3rd, 2nd through 4th, 5th centuries were really had a lot of stuff around breath prayers.
Let's talk about that.
Well, the original breath prayer in Christianity or in Catholicism and stuff would be, Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner.
And so you're doing
breathing
that.
in and breathing out with that prayer.
Yeah.
And it's about cadence. You could do it with anything.
Right. And I think that's important to have the correlation, and to be we're embodied creatures. So if we're way up in our head and you're feeling all these emotions in just your head versus in your body, like sadness, like how is sadness expressed? Like, is it expressed in these beads? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like what's the anchor physically that ties the mind, body, mind, and spirit? That's why I think it is important to have something physical that like anchors us, you know?
Yeah, well, I personally believe we're triune beings, our body, our mind and emotions, and our spirits. And sometimes we are emaciated in one or more of those areas.
Mm-hmm.
And I think to be fully human beings, it has to be balanced.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't believe that, then whatever. But for me personally, it's how do I become a balanced person? Like being sad and owning the sadness and embracing that and going, I'm sad and it's okay, or I'm angry and it is what it is. In all of that, I went, how come I'm not feeling more joy? I have a wonderful family. I have wonderful children, and you being one of them. I have friends. God has blessed us financially over the years. I've been poor and on food stamps in my life, and I've had buttloads of money, and I just feel blessed in my life, and that is my experience. Hardship. We lost a daughter. Lori died and was revived. We've had family trauma, whatever, you know, in our life, but I feel really blessed and I want to walk joyfully. We have a
Mm-hmm.
good life. I mean, we are so abundantly, overwhelmingly blessed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even talking from being an American, but how did I end up being born here
Yeah.
and having so much privilege and having so much, and yet across the street where I live, there's people that don't have anything and
Mm-hmm.
they live in poverty and all that, and okay, so what? So all of this week about the sadness is what are you choosing to focus on?
Mm-hmm.
There is a time to be sad. I think some of what I realized about the sadness this week was I'm frustrated because I'm not responsible to fix those issues with my friends.
Why are you sad about that? Because you just naturally want to be able to fix it, and
Well,
everyone.
I wasn't going to go here, but if we are believers in Jesus and his teachings, we have no excuses for how we live or don't live. The truth is, life happens, crap happens in life. Life is hard. In fact, if you read anything about Jesus, he said, your life is going to have trouble. I didn't come here to make you not have trouble. It's not unicorns and soft serve ice cream your whole life. There's going to be trouble. Walking with me will help you navigate that.
Mm-hmm.
Or not. You can choose not to, you know. Um, he says, follow me. Like a rabbi, he wasn't the only rabbi in his day. There were hundreds of them. And there were philosophers in Greece and Rome and all that. So Jesus wasn't unique in that regard. And we could go down that whole path of, having a rabbi meant you had to be chosen. It was like getting into Yale or Harvard. You just didn't show up and say, be my rabbi. They had to pick you. And there was a vetting process. Jesus broke through that barrier for women and kids and slaves and blue collar people and wealthy people and said, follow me. And he kept on walking. Or he would go ahead.
Well, so okay, so where are you getting at with that? Like in regard to.
It's like we don't have any excuses if we're going to call ourselves Christians, which I don't anymore, or whatever we say about that. We should be living image bearers of what he taught. And there are a lot of people that are so mad at Christians and Christianity with good reason. We had somebody respond to the God triggering video, and they made really good points about Christians. And I'm going, I can't bash Christians or followers of Jesus because that's what I am. But how are we being different because of that?
Yeah.
So being sad about us not being able to communicate, being frustrated that we want to tell everybody about Jesus and jam him down their throat, but we aren't living examples of it a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So they're looking at us going, I'm better off than you are mentally and physically. What do you have to offer me that I don't already have? And we don't have a good way of sharing what we believe. And you've told me this for years, is instead of talking about it, why don't you live your life like you believe? If you say you're going to serve somebody and you say you're going to serve God and Jesus and all that, then how come it doesn't show up in your life?
I mean, sometimes too, like our emotions aren't just our emotions. Like I think collectively right now, there is a lot of chaos. There's a lot of darkness. There's a lot of, depression. So
Churn.
yeah, and there's a massive shift going on. And no matter
Yeah.
what, like
So true.
avenue you're looking into, like I have friends who are really into the stars. I have friends who have different practices, and no matter which one angle you're coming from, everyone is seeing
It's a cosmic thing.
the shift. And
Yeah.
so also, like, could your sadness be a part of that
Probably.
too? Like,
Maybe something I don't even know.
yeah,
Kirsten, your sister,
yeah,
is a real empathetic, spiritually sensitive person. And I remember one time she woke up and she was crying, and I was going, "What's the matter?"
yeah,
And she didn't know, and she thought it was herself. But as we thought about it, when she started talking, it was, quote unquote, the weight of the world, the sadness, the poverty, the injustice was weighing on her. And so
yeah,
the way for her to process that was to meditate and pray. So
Well,
learning, and which brings us to the point of learning to discern, becoming a discerning people, a person.
so how, I guess that's like, so how are you doing that?
By,
Or how are you being that?
good question, by stopping and just getting away, coming to a place like this. You can't see it, we'll show you, but just coming to a place where you can get some margin and some space and breathing and just being aware of your body. I think that's what I learned from Ellie too, is get aware. You're talking all around feelings, but you're not really feeling it.
Well, that's what's so beautiful about, speaking of kids, like when a kid is just, they they start to learn early on how to mask, how to adapt, how to appease and all that stuff, but they're
Yeah.
usually in this space of just like completely, unadulterated, is that the right word?
Yeah.
Like,
Unfiltered.
yeah, just like raw and emotional and vibrant, and loud and excited, and you can be all of that too. I think that's the thing. It's like we can be sad. I mean, that's where I'm at. It's like I have days, and in one day, in one moment, I'm sad and I'm completely overwhelmed with gratitude all in the same
And
breath.
joyful. And
Yeah. So it is a lot to hold, and I think it's possible to hold all of that. And we need ways, I think, to hold it, but then, like, we're conduits. So how do we
yeah.
let that go? And I think that's been for me, it's like not getting so hung up. Darby and I were just talking last night. I feel like that just needs to be a book, Darby and I, because I'm always referencing our conversations, but her and I just go there, and that's what I love about her. Love you, Darbs. But how quickly and easily it is to let, like, we can observe ourselves, and I do this. I see myself have an idea, pops up into my head, and I am like, ooh, and I cling on to it, and then I obsess over it, and that becomes what I serve, and then that becomes my God. And it literally is I can feel myself going on a different path. Like I can feel, it's like metaphorically and physically, my neurons literally are shooting off a different way, and it's like you can entertain entertain anything.
Do you think most people, though, most people in our culture and in our society, have that kind of awareness?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard because I think a lot of the people in my life right now do have that awareness. And I understand that that's my reality and that's my little bubble right now. I don't know what it's like. I mean, I definitely encounter, I mean, I'm very aware anytime I go out in public. And to me, I get sad because I pay attention to people's like demeanors and like how they're walking,
Body
how they're,
language and all?
yeah, and I can see so many people are tuned out, and I get it. Like I don't want to always be like super engaged in talking, but I do try to be aware of the present moment. I think that's important for me, and so it's sad to
Yeah.
see like how many people won't make eye contact, and it's simply just to like have a quick connection and then move
interaction.
on. And so yeah, like
What do y'all think about that? Do you think we're disconnected? Is it anybody's business whether you're connected or not connected? What do you guys think about what Hillary's saying?
hmm yeah.
Because some people don't want you in their business. I get it. Everybody's not wired like you and I are, where we're pretty much open books. I don't have lots of secrets. I've got a few, but I don't. I'm pretty transparent. One of my good friends, Mark, holds everything close.
Yeah.
It took us years for him to trust me enough to tell me things.
Yeah.
When I'm telling him, my darkest secrets almost the first week we met, and it freaked him out, because it was just too much.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway,
Well, and I don't even think that's what we're saying either, of like, you don't have to tell everyone your deepest, darkest secrets and be that vulnerable, to be like present and to be aware and to
true.
acknowledge like another human being like that. But that can be hard. I mean, you look at someone the wrong way, depending on what part of town you're in, and that would get you shot,
Right. Yes.
And I've been in places where I'm like, hi, like trying to, I'm like just naturally like want to make eye contact and smile. And it's like, oh no, like we can choose what we want to grab onto and what we want to, like we have the will, the freedom to choose whatever we want to choose. And like we have millions of different options out there in one day, even just to be like, okay, I'm going to go down this path and I'm going to go down this thought. And like, where do you get to the place where you have freedom? Like freedom isn't just getting to do what you want. Freedom is actually being able to say no to things you want.
Yeah.
Rob Bell's one of my favorite authors. He said that.
It's a slow work. It's
Yeah.
slow.
We talk
And
about that a lot too,
yeah,
the
and
process.
I think we need to drill that down for ourselves. And there's a lot of people that feel the same. You're on this rocket that's going at, the speed of light, and you just want to get off sometimes and slow things down. Being in nature like this, almost all the major religions talk about solitude and meditation. I was working on my master's certification. I had this coach, Teresa. I won't say her last name, but she's um, a master coach and brilliant. Um,
What is a master coach?
I'm a professional certified coach with the International Coach Federation, which is a body, uh, an association that kind of sets standards for coaches. This is kind of like being a member of the bar. You have to pass a big test and all that. And I'm a professional certified coach. Well, the next level is master coach. Anyway, I was studying for that, and I was in a class with her, and she said, "Can I coach you amongst your peers?"
Mm.
So we started talking, and what do you need to let go of to get where you want to be?
Mm.
Really never thought about it. So again, all these things build on each other. Now I have awareness. What do I need to let go of? What do I need to grab hold of
Mm-hmm.
to get where I want to be?
It's a spider.
Get it off of me.
Oh, hi, buddy. Oh, he was on me earlier. This is a
Yeah,
different one.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's a good image for me, thinking of all the stuff we're holding, and if there's opportunities out here, and how are we ever supposed to reach them if we're just like
Well, yeah, and then
full with.
the next level of that is desire. And we need to talk about that sometime. What is desire? And to me, it's like you can know you need to change and want to change or grow. Pick a word for in there: change, grow, mature, whatever your word is. And you can have awareness that you need to do those things and want to do them and never actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
So there has to be some point in there, something that motivates you to actually go through the hard process of growing and changing.
Yeah.
Or formation's another good word. Um, so all of that's happening. I'm learning how to let that go, how to get comfortable being uncomfortable, but getting to a place of emotional indifference in the sense that I'm not going to live my life making sure that everybody loves me or not, because I don't control that. How am I supposed to live my life? How am I going to live it and then actually living it?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a process. I wish it was a one and done. It's not that. It's constant. I think until the day you die. And if you believe in the afterlife after you die, growing and learning and knowledge is something that goes on to me forever.
Yeah,
Think about that for a minute.
it's fun to think about time is not even like we're in these constraints right now, but like our souls. C.S. Lewis talks about that, and we had that conversation with Aaron about it. Like,
Yeah.
we're infinite creatures, so the fact that we're living in this time-bound space, we're always like, man, we're always like, at least me, in a lot of conversations that I'm having, it's like, what day is it? Like, how much, like, so much happened just this weekend.
Yeah.
It felt like years. Like, it never really truly makes sense, and that makes sense to me because it's like if you're, if we're really these infinite creatures.
I think this life is school, personally. To me, this is a bus stop.
Mm-hmm.
You think about it in the span of what we understand as time. 100, even if you live to be 120, it's ding, it's just a blink.
I
It's like
know.
our
Yeah.
friends that we went to visit had a photo album that was from the 1880s.
Mm.
Everybody in the world that lived in the 1880s is dead now. Every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that weird? All the billions, they're gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in 2055, which is what, 30 years from now,
Yeah.
I will be 100 years old.
So weird to imagine you as a 100-year-old.
And you'll live to 2087, let's say. If you live 100
I
years, you'll be
know.
almost to another century.
I've thought of that before. It's really weird to think about.
Yeah. So, I mean, sorry, we got way into that, but I mean, so how am I living my life? How do I love the best I can?
Mm.
How do I be everything that I want to be and should be? John Mark Comer talks about in Practicing the Way about, following the teachings of Jesus isn't about doing more, it's about doing less.
I think being able to observe you and mom in your own home and how y'all are, like on paper, it's like, y'all are retired and y'all, like you have your own business and you're doing the coaching stuff too. But like on paper, it looks one way, but then in real life, like y'all are doing so much. And so it's like, but y'all also, I feel like, are finding ways to like simplify. But I mean, in terms of creating community and like our home is like, Nikki described it as like a train stop, a train station.
Right.
And we all constantly, the doors open and people all
Walk
different,
in.
yeah, of all different backgrounds. I mean, we have like, it's cool to see. I mean, we have some of y'all's friends are younger than I am. We have people who come from way different backgrounds, different colors.
All the gender identity stuff that we're
Yeah, a
exposed to.
ton of queers in and out of the house. Like it's, you know,
Yeah.
and it's interesting because yeah, like it's a pretty unassuming home. You would drive by it and not think that,
True.
and it's cool. Like y'all, that takes a lot of work and a lot of effort, to
Well, and
make
you
that
help with that.
happen.
I mean, mom has been the teacher and schooled me on hospitality. Lori's one of the most hospitable people I know. And having you there and all the noise, and I want all the mess of people.
Uh-huh.
Even though I'm sad about my friends not being able to figure out their relationships, that noise is important.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I'm going through it. It's like I'm not making a killing with my business, which is normal.
It's new.
It's new, and that's hard for me. It's like I don't want to keep saying I'm an impatient person. I'm shifting that language to
You're pretty
saying
patient.
about certain things.
Yeah, but you're pretty patient. So that's really calling it what it is. You are. I mean, it's like with
About
us.
certain things, though.
I can see it on your face though when I piss you off when we're trying to edit and or I don't get TikTok and how to post it, or I forget the thumbnail or whatever, but you still are
Okay,
gracious.
but that's different. Like, I'm not talking about that kind of patience. I'm talking about
Like patients in a mental hospital.
no, no, like hospital patients.
Yeah,
No,
that.
I'm talking about like, okay, you can't figure out the editing, or, sometimes I get annoyed. You always ask if I'm all right.
Yeah.
I'm like, Dad. Just the question annoys me because I'm like, well, what am I putting out? Like, am I coming off as like, am I walking around like have something
Sometimes.
stuck up my butt and I'm
No,
just like pissed
not
and
that, but you seem sometimes the look on your face will be, what's the matter? Or I can hear Mom in there talking under her breath. This dang toilet. I'm not cleaning this toilet anymore. It's crumbs. Hilary left the salt all over the counter.
I'm talking about like, it's like with this business or like my skill of like as a carpenter or my art as, as a wood burner. It's like I want it to be better and I want to be like at the place where I can support myself financially and, like I've been able to do that my entire life. And I'm at this stage of life right now where like my car broke down and I'm having to depend on y'all and I'm having to like depend on God. And I think that's where I'm at. It's like I'm going deeper and deeper with my life lessons of like, you have some pride that you need to let go of. You have some, like, you need to grow in more patience and like know that, like, have respect for time in that sense of
Yeah.
like,
Learn how to manage it.
I mean,
steward it.
someone who's a 30-year master carpenter, like it's kind of a slap in the face and I'm like, I can't make a good table.
A
And it's like,
cantilever chest of drawers. I don't even know what I just said, but
I don't either. But I think that's where I'm at is like, it's having to let go of some of my stuff and just
yeah.
be like, okay, fine, like I surrender. Or like asking for help. It's really hard for me to ask for help. In real time, it's these lessons of being persistent, like growing these muscles. It's new. Like I've been seeing this business coach, Billy. Gosh, he's awesome, um, and what he's helping me to see and reveal about myself is really helping me move the needle and me understand that, okay, like it's not rocket science to start a business, but like I can't sit here and be like, oh, I suck at numbers, I suck at this, and just sit there and be like in the suckiness. Like it's like, okay, well, you can learn it and you might not be good at it at first, and that's what's hard too. And it's like this is like one of those weird things for me is like I'm used to being good at things.
Yeah.
And I don't say that in a
it's
cocky
true,
way,
though.
but like I'm naturally good at a lot of things.
You kind of coasted through high school and college.
Yeah, and it almost to my own detriment because I didn't gain a lot of skills.
Yeah.
But also seeing too, it's like my whole life, I had coaches, and they were, I work well when someone kind of lights a fire under my ass and like pumps me along, and I can somewhat do that for myself, but it's also getting realistic of like, hey, actually, I can't do this myself. I need to ask for help, and that again is a theme for me this year. Is like being okay
Well,
and asking for help
Yeah.
and then seeing how like someone like my coach right now, Billy, like he operates so differently than I do, and
Yeah.
he helps me, like he lights a fire under me, and I'm applying a lot of that awareness and that realization in real time, and so it's helping me like get some stuff done and like actually face some of the things that I haven't been willing to face. I talk with a lot of my friends. I mean, Anna and I talk all the time about embodying community and what does that mean to be a true neighbor, and what does it look like, and it's showing up in all the stuff, like of life, and being able to like say like, hey, I'm not doing well right now, or
I think your generation gets that. I think they get it pretty well. At least my interaction with you guys. Like therapy used to be a taboo thing to talk about when I was a kid. You guys understand the need for getting help.
I guess, something we haven't been doing lately is like takeaways. So, what are some takeaways, Dad, from just having this conversation?
This conversation, and I'm not being funny. Okay, what did we talk about? Awareness, about needing each other, about margin, about feeling what we feel, those kinds of things. It's really just a lot to think about. And I don't usually listen to these things,
Hmm.
but I might listen to this one and think about it some more, because it's life is going so fast that sometimes you wouldn't know how to slow down if you tried. And so I just think it's about more awareness about our state, body, soul, and spirit,
Hmm.
and then getting help, like with everybody from friends like Darby and my friends like Bo and Bruce and Rachel and my wife, and you guys, you kids really keep me grounded in what's going on in the world. Even if you can't tell on a 30, 40-minute podcast, you guys have helped me immensely not to just become an old man and that sits at home and waits to die,
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I'm taking what we talked about today with me today. How about you?
Yeah, I think just the importance of, again, like changing things up, like with this, like we're in a for those of you following along and those of you who we're having these conversations with, like we still don't really know where we're going with this podcast and why we're doing it, other than we feel like this is what we are supposed to do. And
Hmm.
so being able to change things up and get out of our heads, so coming out, to a place like this, like it's, for me, it's like it can be easy to get in different ruts, and it's like, okay, like let's maybe try going here
Hmm.
and letting go of some of those things. So with my business, with with just life in general, with where I'm at, like being, living with y'all, like I love y'all to death, but it's like it's hard sometimes. And I think, yeah, finding ways to connect to the physical world is important to me.
Hmm.
I think finding
Very
way
much for you.
Yeah, being out in nature and having this time. I think, being okay with where I'm at, like in the struggle, in the mess, like
Hmm.
in the unknown. Again, like I'm in this space where it's like I have to give up control and surrender and be like, okay, God, and not even just okay, God, but like, okay, friends, like
Yeah.
I'm struggling here,
Yeah.
I need some help, like that's
Vulnerability, maybe.
yeah, just being, and being like, and I've said this for years too, and I think it's just more of embodying this whole thing of it's okay to not be okay. There's a lot of like people are struggling, and it's hard. Well, for me too, that's like my word this year is pray, and it's not just sitting around like, dear God, make me a bird so I can fly away from here.
Run, Forrest, run.
Um, that's what's so beautiful about it, is I'm learning, like it takes many shapes and forms. Like, I can pray with my body. I can pray with my relationships, and
Yeah.
how we're encouraging each other. Like watching a sunset to me is prayer. Like
Well, and
waking up, making sure I wake up early, and it's hard because I just want to sleep in and really sit down and be still and be quiet and meditate. It's not just
yeah.
saying words. Like, I think overall, I think it was a good conversation, and it's good just to check in and see where we're at. I think
Yeah.
it's helpful for me to like be able to reflect and, yeah, see where you're at and see how you're growing. And
Same. Your growth to me is astonishing.
thanks.
I'm not kidding.
It's
Um,
freaking hard. It sucks a lot of times.
just the ar- just it's not even got an arc in it. A growth arc.
Yeah,
It's kind of like that, and
yeah,
it's fun to watch it, and it's fun to see who is in that wake of your growth,
yeah.
because
Huh.
it's
Interesting.
gently pulling other people along.
I think that's the whole part too of being in community with others, is that we are growing together and we're
Yeah.
living together, like doing life together. And it's like amidst the pain and like the frustration and like the what ifs and like why am I, all that stuff. Like I feel like my gratitude and like my appreciation for y'all, for where I'm at with my relationship with God, with my siblings, my friends, like everything's just like that much more potent. Like I'm
Yeah.
so grateful,
Good
and
word.
yeah, I'm just grateful, and it's like, and I'm speechless at times, by just how beautiful this life really is,
Yeah.
and how fortunate we are to be exactly where we are right now in this moment in time.
And we can choose it
Yeah.
in terms of our posture in it.
Yeah. And it's beautiful. Like it's weird to be like in this state where it's like I'm okay. Like I truly am getting to a place of being okay with not being okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in welcoming, like when I cry, like I mean I cry like almost every day. And it's like, and
Healing.
it's really healing. Yeah. So yeah, it's, I think what we're doing with this and just capturing these conversations, like again, I'm just grateful for them. And
We've had a couple of responses this week that were pointed from different perspectives, and you handled it well.
well, I
So,
think that's what we're trying to build too. Like it's like, yeah, how do we create a space where we can be real and be raw and walk it out together, with people we know well and deeply and people we don't know at all. Like
yeah.
that's what's the beautiful thing about technology and the internet, is that we can do this kind of stuff right here,
Yeah.
So anyways,
Yeah.
I think it was a good conversation, but
Yeah.
we love y'all. We so appreciate you just being here with us, like in the midst of
Yeah.
all of this, and watching us fumble our ways.
And growing with us.
Yeah,
And
fumbling and growing. Yeah, I love y'all. Be safe out in the world.
yeah.